Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sarah, and today we will be going over my November TBR. So first things first, let's start out by saying that I did in fact fail my October TBR. I had 14 books. I have yet to have a month where I read that many books in a single month. And then you throw in the fact of having 3 kids, a husband, hunting season coming up, and Halloween coming up, and everything else. I didn't have enough time. There weren't enough hours in the day, and that's okay. I'm still really proud of what I accomplished this month. So I'm going to go over the books that I had for each prompt and whether I did or did not read them. So the first prompt that I had was a witchy book, and for that I chose Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. My sister and I are reading this series and annotating it and giving copies of the books to my dad to read for the first time. So I did finish this one. I gave it 5 stars. I think on reread it technically would have been like a 4 to 4.5, but being, with this nostalgia factor of it and just how pivotal of a book this is in this series, I just can't not give it 5 stars. It just doesn't feel right. So I did read this one. The next one that I had was a skull on the cover, and I don't have it with me now because I had to return it to the library, but for that one I did read The Luminaries by Susan Dennard. I did finish this one and I gave it 4 stars. I really enjoyed it, and I don't know if I'd buy the series, but I would be interested in continuing it if I get it like from the library or whatever. The next one that I had was a thriller, and for that I chose Survive the Night by Riley Sager. This is one of 2 of his books that I have yet to read. This one and The Last Time I Lied were the only ones that I have left, and I gave this one 3 stars. I like his writing as always, but this book was, I don't know, it was just nothing amazing to me. I thought he had decent plot twists, but at the same time, like, I wanted the main character to die. Like, let's just leave it at that. The main character, I wanted her to die by the end because she was just stupid. She kept saying, I need to get out of this car. I need to get out of this car. I need to get away from this man. And then she got back in the car every single time without fail. So she drove me crazy and I hated her. So she was just an idiot. And so I gave this one 3 stars, but I am glad that I read it. And it wasn't his worst book of my opinion, in my opinion. The one that I've liked, I think, least of all is either Middle of the Night or Final Girls, but this one was just okay. The next one that I had was a cozy fall book, and for that one I read The Haunting of Evelyn Jones. This is a middle grade book that I read with my sister, and I did read this. I gave it 5 stars. I thought it was fantastic, and I've always heard people say that middle grade horror is like the best horror, and they're always surprised by it, and now I understand why. And I told my sister that I think the reason for that is because with middle grade horror you can't rely on blood, guts, gore, that kind of thing. You have to rely more on atmospheric character work, things like that. You have to rely more on like just making the spooky vibes be present. And that was absolutely there in this book, and I loved it. I started reading this with my sister in the morning, and then she had to go to work, and so I stopped reading it for a while, but I couldn't wait to go back and finish it. And so we finished it all in one day, and it was a great time. We had so much fun reading this, and I really want to try some more in this series. The next book is called The Bewitching of Evelyn Jones, so I'd be really curious to try that one out because I absolutely loved this. So far, so good. The first 4 books, I've finished them. But the next one that I had was Gothic Vibes, and for that I had Last Tale of the Flower Bride. I did not read this. I had no interest in picking this one up. I tried starting the audiobook, and I don't usually read a whole lot of audiobooks, and it just didn't happen. So I did not read this one. Sorry, the sun is shifting. It's been rainy all morning, and now the sun's of course coming out as soon as I start to film. The next one that we had though was A Spooky Vacation, and for that one I read Morbidly Yours by Ivy Fairbanks. I did read this and I gave it 5 stars. I thought it was really cute. I loved their friendship that they built. I love how accepting they were of each other just right from the get-go, and how she just kind of forces her way into being his friend, and I just absolutely loved it. I thought it was so cute, and I had such a great time reading it. The next one that I had was a 5-star prediction, and for that I had Sunbringer by Hannah Kaner. I really want to read this, but I just haven't brought myself to start it yet, so I did not read this one yet. Still want to, still enjoy the first book, but I just haven't been in the mindset to start this book. So this is another one that I did not read. I also had another 5-star prediction and got Book Lovers by Emily Henry. Once again, I did not read this. I don't know why. I've been loving the romances, but I'm just not... I don't know why. I don't know. I just haven't got myself to pick this one up yet. So I did not read this. The next one that I had was a haunted setting set in a different country, and for that I chose Mexican Gothic by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. And once again, I did not read this. I had no interest in picking it up. Same with Last Tale of the Flower Bride. I just didn't want, I don't know, I just didn't get in the mood for this one, so I did not pick this one up. The next one that I had was Start a New Series, and for that I chose Red Dragon by Thomas Harris. I read the first couple of chapters of this and put it down and didn't pick it back up again. I really want to though. The first couple of chapters that I read were really, really good. I just never went back to it, and then by the time it was like to where I could pick it back up, I kind of over the spooky vibes and Halloween books and whatnot. My husband and I watched this movie though, and from what I paid attention to, I really enjoyed it. What I didn't realize was that Hannibal Lecter was actually a forensic psychologist, which I think is really interesting. I never knew that for as many times as I've watched Silence of the Lambs. And so I'm really excited to come back to this one. It just didn't happen this month. The next one that I had was library recommendation, and for that I read A Wizard's Guide to Defensive Baking by T. Kingfisher. And again, I don't have it with me, I had to return it, but I did read that one. I gave it 3.5 stars. I thought it started out so strongly, and it was so cute, and it was so much fun. I loved the fact that she named her sourdough starter Bob, and I loved that, and I loved her little gingerbread friend. However, I felt like it just kind of fell off the bandwagon. Like, it got to the point where like it reminded me of the BFG there for a little while, and then the ending of it reminded me of Shrek 2, like almost directly. And I just felt like it felt really flat. I liked the writing style, and like I said, I loved the beginning of the book, but I just felt like as things progressed, it just kind of fell off of the bandwagon for me, and it just didn't quite do it. And I got to where I felt like it was really repetitive, and I just got really bored. I got really bored towards the end of it, and I just wanted it to be over. So gave that one 3.5 stars. The next one that I had was a historical fiction, and for that one I chose The Book of Thorns by Hester Fox. I gave this one 4 stars. I thought it was really interesting. I liked that it was set in 1815 in France with the rise and fall of Napoleon. And this one is following 2 sisters who have magical affinity with plants and flowers, and they don't even know that they're sisters, but they find each other after however many years and are on opposite sides of Napoleon's army. And then one sister gets sent to prison as a traitor and a spy, and they have to kind of work things out. The reason that I gave this 4 stars was because as much as I liked this book and I liked the writing and I liked the atmosphere, one of the sisters drove me absolutely crazy. I could not stand her. She was one who grew up in a wealthy home and was used to getting everything that she wants and getting her own way, and that includes with having a boyfriend and a girlfriend at the same time, and they make this like merry little threesome and whatever. It's 1815. It just wasn't very believable for me, and I didn't like her, so it kind of took away from the book for me a bit. So 4 stars for this one. The next one that I started, and I am not going to punish myself at all for this, because I only read 21 pages and I DNF'd it. And that is a book with vampires. I chose I Am Legend by Richard Matheson. I read the first 20 pages of it. 75% of those 20 pages was him talking about how difficult it was that he was not able to have sex, and the fact that the female vampires would try and lure him out with their bodies, and it was so hard to resist them because they'd show up naked on his lawn. 20 pages in, and I asked my husband if it got any better or if it changed or whatever. He said, no, it really doesn't. So I said that I wasn't going to waste my time anymore if it doesn't change at all, and I didn't want to be reading it. I didn't like what I was reading, and so I DNF'd this, and I will be unhauling it because he didn't really care for it either. So yeah, I DNF'd this at 20 pages and just have no interest in trying it again because I didn't like what I read. And last but not least, I had a new author, and for that I chose The Spellbook of Katrina Van Tassel by Alyssa Palumbo. I gave this one 3.5 stars. I did read it, and I thought that the writing was done fantastic. The atmosphere was done so well, but this book is over 400 pages, and it doesn't need to be. It was far too long. I hated the main character. I hated her whole viewpoint. I hated how needy she was, how annoying she was, how useless she was, and I didn't like the main character. I love the story. I thought it was a really interesting concept. I just didn't, I don't know, it was too long. It was way too long. Like I said, the writing was great and the atmosphere was fantastic, but I was so bored with this book, and all I did was just like roll my eyes and get irritated with her through the whole thing. So I gave this one 3.5 stars. I think if it's what you're looking for, and if you go in with the intentions of like knowing that it's gonna be just kind of a slow, pining type of book, then I think you could enjoy it. But I was wanting more than that, and so it just didn't cut it for me. So this one I gave 3.5 stars. So that is the 14 books. Out of those 14, I finished, or technically I did not pick up 5 of them, including Red Dragon. And so that is really not bad. That's 9 out of 14 that I picked up and read or attempted to read. I Am Legend being that exception. So I think I'm really proud of myself for that, but it just wasn't all of them. So that being said, instead of punishing myself for that many books that I did not finish, and I try and kind of take things easier in the next couple of months, because November and December are not going to get any less crazy with the holidays coming up. So things aren't going to get any less chaotic this year. So I have decided that I am not going to do any punishments this month, and to kind of take things a little bit easier on myself as well, because of the fact that so many of my prompts I've gotten twice, so that third time adds an extra throw. Because of that, I am going to allow myself to double up my prompts, so that way I can keep things a little bit more manageable. I really felt like in October my content suffered greatly because I didn't have any leniency to read anything that I wanted to for content or otherwise. And I had a lot of plans, but they all fell through because I just didn't have time. I didn't have time to read the extra books. I didn't have the want to read some of these ones that were on my TBR. And I felt like my content just really fell off the bandwagon this month because of that. So I want to kind of back things up a little bit and just kind of take things a little bit easier. So with that being said, I am going to do 6 throws for November, plus any additional ones from getting a prompt the third time, but I'm also going to allow myself to double up on my prompts. So with that being said, let's get into the throws. Okay, so the first prompt that I got was an Instagram pic. I don't have my slips with me. The first prompt that I got was an Instagram pic, and so I tried to screen record this, but I'm pretty sure I deleted it because I had to redo this, like choosing my books like 6 times. So either way, I do have a screenshot of it. The first one that I got was an Instagram pic, and this is from the Bookshelf 2023, book number 62 of the year for them, and that is none other than Home is Where the Bodies Are by Geneva Rose. I picked this one up at the library sale, and I haven't read anything from this author. I've heard really mixed things about this author, but I'm so excited to read this book, and I absolutely love the cover of it, and so I can't get past it. So from what I know of this book is about kids going back to their family home, I believe after their parents passed away, and finding a tape recording that basically insinuates that their parents were murderers. And I don't know anything else about it, but That's what I know. So I'm really curious to try this one out. I also absolutely love, I seen on the back when I was hauling this book that it's rated T for thrilling, which I thought was really fun. And so yeah, I just absolutely love this cover. I'm really excited to try it. It's not super long, and I don't know, I'm just really excited to see what I think of it. And like I said, I absolutely love this cover. It's so freaking perfect. That was my first choice for November. The next prompt that I got was gifted, and for this one I chose The Phoenix Keeper by S.A. McLean. I was gifted a finished copy of this book from Hachette Book Group, which is Orbit Publishing, and I'm so excited to read this one. This one is a fantasy, romance, magical realism, all the above, like cozy fantasy that's following magical zookeepers. And they have Phoenix exhibits, and they're like a rival Griffin exhibit or something like that, I believe. And so I don't know, magical zoos, magical creatures. I'm super excited to read this book, and so thank you so much for Orbit. So much to Orbit for sending me a copy of this book, and I cannot wait to pick it up in November. The next prompt that I got was lowest rated, and for that one I had to update my Goodreads to get this accurately, because the first one that popped up for lowest rated was The Cabin at the End of the World by Paul Tremblay with a 3.33. However, when I made sure that all my newer books were in my Goodreads, the one that actually came up was The Book of Wonders by Polly Crosby. This one has a 3.28 rating, and this is another one that I just picked up at the library sale, and I absolutely love this cover. It's so gorgeous with the flowers and the books, and I think it's gorgeous. So this one, it says, this is a charming, deeply imaginative debut novel about a young girl who is immortalized in her father's illustrated books containing clues to their family secrets. Romilly Kemp and her eccentric painter father have happy but sheltered lives in a ramshackle mansion in the English countryside. When her father finds fame with a series of children's books starring Romilly as the main character, everything changes. Exotic foods appear on the table, her father appears on TV, and strangers appear at their door, convinced the books will lead them to a precious prize. But as time passes, Romilly's father becomes increasingly suspicious of the outside world until before her eyes he begins to disappear within himself. She returns to his illustrations, looking for a way to connect with her ailing father and find a series of clues he's left just for her. This treasure hunt doesn't lead her to gold or jewels, but something worth far more, a shocking secret that is crucial to understanding her family. Written with tremendous heart and charisma, The Book of Hidden Wonders is an unforgettable story about growing up, facing mortality, and discovering the hidden wonders that make us who we are. So I think it sounds really interesting, and I'm really curious to try it. Like I said, I think this is a beautiful cover, and this is my lowest rated book currently on my TBR with a 3.28. So this will be the one that I'm reading for that prompt. The next prompt that I got is a historical fiction, and for that I chose another cozy fantasy, and that is The Magician's Daughter. I am so excited to read this book. It is such a beautiful cover, for starters. I absolutely love this. I bought this one to do a cozy fantasy vlog, and then once again that was something that just fell by the wayside in October and did not happen. But this book, it says, a young woman is caught between two worlds in H.G. Perry's spellbinding tale of miracles, magic, and an island that might have been. Off the coast of Ireland sits a legendary island hidden by magic, a place of ruins and ancient trees, sea salt air, and fairy lore. High Brazel is the only home Biddy has ever known. Washed up on its shore as a baby, Biddy lives a quiet life with her guardian, the mercurial magician Rowan, a life she finds increasingly stifling. One night, Rowan fails to return from his mysterious travels, and to find him, Biddy must venture into the outside world for the first time. But Rowan has powerful enemies, forces who have hoarded the world's magic and have set their sights on the magician's many secrets. Biddy may be the key to stopping them, yet the closer she gets to answers, the more she questions everything she ever believed about Rowan, her past, and the nature of magic itself. It sounds so good. And I wasn't sure if this would count for a historical fiction. However, it does say in one of the blurbs on the back, it says an innovative fairy tale and deftly researched historical fiction in one. Readers won't be able to forget it. So I'm counting it because last month I did my historical fiction book was Book of Thorns. It had that magical aspect to it. It was such a fun way to do a historical fiction without reading a World War II book. And so I want to do that again. And so I picked this one for my historical fiction. My next prompt was a beautiful cover, and for that one I'm going to double up for the first time. And I'm going to double up with the Book of Hidden Wonders by Polly Crosby because, like I said, I absolutely love this cover. I think it's gorgeous. I love the colors in it and the flowers, and it's really pretty. So I am going to double up with this one for a beautiful cover. The next prompt that I got was a fantasy, and for that one I'm going to double up once again and do The Magician's Daughter for my fantasy read because this obviously is a cozy fantasy as well. Okay, so that's the end of my 6 throws, but if you have kept track, which I wouldn't have, but I did it in my book, so I have 3 extra throws from that. So we will continue on with that. So for my 7th throw, I got a highest rated / wild card, which also gives me another throw, so we're up to 10. Highest rated / wild card, and for that one, my highest rated one that I don't really remember anything about is The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. This one had, I believe it was like a 4.5, let me check. So this book has a 4.52 on Goodreads, so it's one of my higher rated books. And the only thing I remember about what this book is about is that it's basically like Harry Potter for adults, and that's it. So this is the book that I'm going to attempt to read for this prompt. I'm very nervous. It's very big. I've had this book for a very, very long time and have never read it yet. So I think it would be good to get it on the TBR and get it read and see what I think of it and then go from there because I've had this forever. So I'm really curious to try it, but I'm also very nervous. Okay, for my 8th prompt, I got a highly anticipated book with Mythical Creatures, and you probably would have guessed by now that for that one, I am also going to use The Phoenix Keeper by S.A. McLean. This is one of my highly anticipated books. I was super excited as soon as I seen the synopses for this book, and I was so excited to read it. And it has mythical creatures because it has phoenixes and it has griffins, and so I'm just super excited to try this one out. And so I'm going to count this as my highly anticipated mythical creature book as well. For my random letter title pick, I spun my wheel. Once again, I think I lost all of my screen recordings because I had to redo this multiple times. But for my random letter title pick, I got the letter H, and for that one was searching and searching. I was thinking I could do The Housemaid or trying to figure out something else that I could read, and then I realized that I already have one on my TBR that starts with H, so I'm going to double up with this one as well and read Home is Where the Bodies Are by Geneva Rose. So I'm trying to make this easy on myself because that way I don't have 10 books because I don't know if I'd be able to do it. So I am going to use Home is Where the Bodies Are for a title that starts with an H. And my 10th and final prompt, I got a mood read, and that's kind of perfect because then I could throw in whatever book I want to and have it count. So I just picked up the paperback copy of Fourth Wing that has the beautiful stenciling on the edges with all the dragons. So I'm really, really anxious to pick that, or to start that one. I also have The Becoming by Nora Roberts, which would be the second book to The Awakening. And I can't remember the name of that series. It's Dragonheart Legacy, I think. I could read that one. I could read pretty much just, I don't know, whatever kind of gets me in the mood for that book. So I'm not going to choose anything right now. I'm going to kind of leave that one open to see how this month goes. If I finish all of these books in a timely manner and I'm able to add in another book to fit the prompts separately, and not double up on them, I will. I just don't want to do that to start with. So I'm allowing myself to double it up because I'd like to be able to come out with more content for you guys and just give myself a little bit more flexibility with my reading in November that I haven't had in October. And I don't want to get into a slump because of it. I want to be able to keep enjoying my reading without putting too much pressure on myself, especially around the holidays. So with that being said, these are the 5 books that I will be reading for the month of November, plus my mood read, which I have not decided on yet, and maybe add in some more, maybe not. This one's pretty chunky, so I don't know how that's gonna go. But hopefully I will be able to actually read these and still come out with good content for you guys because of that. And I'm really looking forward to all of these. I think I've got a pretty good mix. I've got a thriller, I've got a magical realism, some fantasies, so, and then I can like kind of shake things up if I want to throw in like a romance or whatever too. So I'm pretty excited for all of these, and hopefully I will actually be able to finish all of them because things are gonna get wild. So if you've read any of these books and you enjoyed them, please let me know. I would love to hear your thoughts. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, subscribe down below, and wish me luck for November with creating more content for all of you. I will catch you in the next one. Bye.